All right, this is the third time we're going to try this out. And unfortunately, if it doesn't work this time, which let me know if the audio works. So this is the third last time. Unfortunately, YouTube's being a bum. And if something cuts out again, we're probably going to call it for the night. But thank you for those that stuck around. So third time's a charm. The same thing happened last time with the live stream. I don't know if something's going on with YouTube or whatnot, but we're going to be talking, like I said in the last live stream 10 minutes ago, we're going to be talking about the Dodge new announcement that came out today, July 8th. If you guys haven't been following along, they are announcing an all-electric muscle car, which is going to be coming out in the year 2024. So we're going to be touching a little bit on that since that's the biggest news that's come out. And well, I'm a Mopar focused channel, so we'll discuss that in today's video. We're also going to talk about some Ford Bronco updates. You guys have probably seen on the community tab, I've been making posts about that. So we're going to be discussing where it's located because I do have the information on that. And then we'll finish it off with some fun event that I'm going to be going to out of state here in the next couple months. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I definitely want to answer any questions you guys may have about this electric muscle car or anything in general. But obviously, let's see here. My chat, if it's working, let's see. Okay, there we go. I got the chat working. Thank you for sticking around. Limitless Vlogs and Trucking with Jay. I will cry and beg you to go live on Instagram if it dies. That's actually a good idea. If it dies again, I'm going to go live on Instagram because it seems like they have figured out something that YouTube hasn't when it comes to live streams. So smart idea there. I will do that if that's the case. So yeah, let's start talking about the electric muscle car. So Dodge announced today that as of 2024, there's going to be an all-electric muscle car, which, the thumbnail of this live stream, as you can see, is this kind of weird-looking logo. It looks something like out of the Marvel movies or DC or something. Definitely Iron Man or comic book related, but it's going to be an all-electric muscle car, and it's supposed to have 500 miles of range and do 0 to 60 in the 2-second range, which, if that were the case, it'd be very similar to what Tesla does already. So I'm not sure what they would do to beat Tesla out, aside maybe from a longer battery range. But in the teaser video, it's only like 5 minutes long if you guys caught it, and you can find it on all of the media sites. They kind of do a somewhat of a reveal, but it's an animated image, so it's not the actual car that's coming out, but it looks a lot like a late 1960s, early 70s Dodge Charger. And they reference that it's going to be maybe related to a hammerhead in terms of the naming convention. Kind of weird because the hammerhead shark just came out of the blue in the announcement. The CEO of Dodge was just like talking about evolution, and then this hammerhead shark shows up on the screen, and it was just kind of an odd transition, but I imagine it has something to do with the naming convention of this new vehicle. I don't think it's going to look like a 1969 or 68 Charger. I think that was just a way to get some interest in it. I think they're probably going to make it look more modernized, similar to what they did with the Challengers and definitely the Chargers of today. So Limitless Vlogs, it's not a muscle car if it's not a V8, in my opinion. Yeah, what surprised me the most, I want to touch base on this in today's live stream, is about a month ago, I did a live stream where we briefly touched about electric muscle cars. And every single one in my comments, except maybe one person in this live stream, were just chewing me out for saying, electric cars are acceptable, or, you guys were like sincerely against electric muscle cars. And what surprised me today is after this announcement, how many people on social media are actually supportive and did like a complete 180, because it's not just you guys on live streams and stuff. I'm talking in general. Most people, when they hear electric cars, they don't like it. At least auto enthusiasts, and diehard Dodge fans hate that it's an electric car. And on social media, what I'm seeing now, since they made this announcement, everybody's super excited and like happy about it, which is really odd to me. I've always been a proponent of well, not always, I guess, but for the last recent history, I've been a proponent of electric cars because they just deliver power in ways that naturally aspirated or internal combustion can't. And so that's my opinion, but let's see, Limitless, you said, I mean, it's going to be a Tesla killer. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like the old 69 Daytona, right? Yes, but I don't think that's what it's actually going to look like once it's released. I think that was just a teaser that they were trying to get some interest in on. I would be surprised if they made it look like that. They're probably going to take a spin on it and maybe turn it into something way more modern. So I don't know if it would be a Tesla killer, though, seeing as how Tesla does on paper, even though realistically their numbers are a little bit worse, less than 2 seconds, 0 to 60, and does the quarter mile in like 9.5 or something, or maybe 9 flat, somewhere in the 9-second range. That would be a very strong feat for Dodge to beat that with their first muscle car. And we're talking year 2021. Tesla's only going to get better by then. And so they're going to have to put in probably a lot of effort to get it to match with Tesla or create something that's more competitive. I mean, we'll see. Let's see. Dad and son, hi. Hello. What's going on? Thank you for joining this chat. You guys see in the description what we're talking about today. But darn, the 69 Daytona was the best looking Charger stuff. I totally agree, man. I went to this Mopar show, which I'm actually making a video premiering tomorrow at 5. It's a short little video compared to most of my work, where I went to this Mopar show here in Utah. And there was some of those body style of the 69 Chargers, and I love that look. It just looks so timeless. And I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they will make it look like that, but I just don't know if that's the approach they're going to go. Since, even the modern day Challengers, they have a kind of an homage to the old 60s and 70s Challengers, or 72 specifically, I think, but they're not the exact same. I think they're going to do the same thing with this car. I don't think they're going to mimic the design of the old 60s Challengers and Chargers. Old Daytona here in Utah. There wasn't a Daytona there, but I think in the 69 or 70 year, it was a similar body style. It definitely wasn't the Daytona with like the rounded front end, but it was the more squared off front end of the 69, I think. So the one that their Dodge is showing in the electric teaser was not the Daytona necessarily looking one. It wasn't the rounded one with the big spoiler. It was more of like the classic muscle car look to it. So the big wing is, the Daytona is a classic, and we'll see what happens. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think about electric muscle cars. Personally, like I've said before, I'm all for it. I do think, like Dodge said, their catchy slogan is "Performance made us do it." That's a little gimmicky, but I do think that they probably have reached the potential limits of what you can do with a internal combustion engine. I mean, there's only so much power you can get out of that. Whereas, battery power, you have a little bit more ability to get to those high performance figures. And I'll be honest, when I'm at a stoplight and I see even maybe a mid-range Tesla Model 3 or something like that, I don't dare to compete with it. Even like the heaviest Model X, if it's a performance model, even though they're heavy, 4-door SUV, I don't want to compete with that in my Hellcat, because my Hellcat will probably beat it in a drag strip. Although the Model S Plaid now has kind of shot that out of the water, but on a drag strip, I could still probably beat some of these cars. But on like a 0 to 30, 0 to 60, I'm going to be like at 20 miles an hour when that car is already at 60, just because I'm spinning out. There's a certain limit to physics when you have so much power sent to the rear wheels, and all-wheel drive does help that a little bit. But the way the torque curve works with electric batteries, you get instant torque, and that just doesn't happen with an internal combustion engine. You try to get that fix that with superchargers and turbos, but it still doesn't get you torque at RPM of 0. So it's just kind of an interesting place where we're headed in the auto industry, and I don't mind it. Trucking with Jay, you said Barracuda throwback, maybe. It's very possible. I thought about maybe the shark reference isn't necessarily to a Hammerhead, but maybe like a Barracuda. I think that would be pretty cool. I do suspect that they probably, even though in the video they said that, we can charge up the Charger and that they kind of use that as a reference. I don't think this particular model they're talking about in 2024 is going to be a Charger. I think it's going to be a separate model, and then over time, they're going to start releasing electric models of the Challenger and Charger. But I think this one is going to be a standalone model, and they've talked about bringing Barracuda back for a very long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they brought it back as the electric car. That'd be kind of cool. I think that wouldn't detract from the Hellcat, Charger, and Challenger, because those are still their separate vehicles. Let's see. Limitless Vlogs. Goal one day is just to own one and daily drive it, because no one does. There's a few for sale around 600,000 to 900,000. You're talking about the Daytonas. Yeah, no, there definitely wasn't one of those at the Mopar show. The Plaid Plus is something insane, like 0 to 60 in 1.99. Yeah, and it is, although Engineering Explained did a video where he kind of debunks that. I mean, they really started with, when they do that test and they claim those numbers, they, I think, actually start at like 6 feet into acceleration, just because that's the way that a lot of like these big metrics actually measure these acceleration times. And so they started with, I think, a stickier road surface, and they do it a little bit past like a second into it, and then they accelerate then. So those numbers are a little bit of a lie with the 1.99, but still it's faster than really anything else, or I should say quicker than really anything else out there. Let's see, Muscle Car Caden. Tesla is different. They have superchargers, but Dodge made a muscle, which is called electric muscle car. Let's see, Tesla, they have a superchargers, but Dodge made a muscle, which is called electric muscle car. Yeah, I mean, they're going for a different branding for sure. I think that's how they'll try to differentiate, just like, even though a Shelby GT500 still exists, and so does the Camaro ZL1, Hellcat still has kind of its own brand to it, and there's a huge following for those vehicles. In fact, I think a report came out yesterday that the Camaro sales are tanking even worse than people expected or people thought about a year ago. I mean, they're like half the numbers they were a year ago. And, Chevy's kind of, I think, given up on the Camaro, at least the current generation. So we'll see what happens with that one. But yeah, I think Dodge is going to market it differently. I mean, they already did a 4-wheel burnout in this video, which was an animation, but still, it was pretty cool to see. And I'm not opposed to it, is what I'm trying to say. But Limitless Vlogs, but the Hellcat has a few things on Teslas. 1, you can do a burnout. 2, the supercharger wine. 3, it's just a better looking car. I agree with all the above. And I think that's how they're gonna differentiate it. They're gonna make it look like a muscle car. They're gonna allow for 4-wheel burnout, which is what I was just saying. And then the wine, the only thing that's the downside, I think, to electric is the sound. I don't know how they're going to do that. Maybe they'll try to pipe in some sound, interior, exterior. I don't know if that's really going to work very well, but it could be something to make it a little bit different than the Teslas. And there's going to be a market for it for sure. But let's see. TK's Garage. Hey guys, I'm at the theater, but if you're going to be on live for a bit, I'll share it out a few thousand. Yeah, I mean, if TK, thanks for joining. I plan to be live for the next little bit for sure, probably until at least an hour into the live stream. So if you're busy at the moment, feel free to join back later. Trucking with Jay. What about a dual setup V8 with electric motors on the front? To be honest, I was surprised. We've known about this July 8 announcement for a couple weeks now. And my kind of assumption or hypothesis, I should say, was that they would do a hybrid type of powertrain where you would have, like electric up front. So you'd have a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and you'd have the internal combustion running the back or vice versa. I was a little bit surprised that they just jumped towards electric cars, fully electric, seeing as how, I'm not a huge expert on Stellantis, but Chrysler, the Fiat group doesn't really have a huge electric type of platform for their vehicles. And I could be mistaken, but it seems to me like they don't, they're still developing that. And so it's not like they can just take whatever body style they want, put it on that platform or that frame and call it good. It's like they're developing it with this car in mind. And I'm sure they're developing it for their other platforms too. But I think the hybrid is something that's been around for a very long time, and they could easily do that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. They could potentially do that with maybe some of their like Challengers, Chargers in the meantime between. I don't think they're going to probably do any of that between 2021 and 2024, but maybe, this car that's coming out is going to be the flagship that's $80,000, $90,000, maybe $100,000, and they're going to have a hybrid powertrain for the Challengers and Chargers. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Okay, TK, hi. I'm surprised you actually looked at the channel from your live. TK is around 45,000 subscribers, by the way. I do know that. Yeah, TK's Garage. I appreciate you joining, man. I've seen you. Thank you for subscribing. I know you. It's public that you're subscribed to me, so thank you for that. And I'm not sure you're saying okay at the movies, but I got you. Limitless Vlog. Show me your channel. Let me share this. Y'all have a good one. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I'm guessing you shared it on your community page. And thank you for subscribing. I've subscribed back to your channel as well. So, thanks for watching the videos and enjoying it, and have a good night, and have fun at the theater. So thanks for joining. And thank you, Limitless Vlogs, for introducing TK to my channel. What we were talking with Trucking with Jay, the hybrid powertrain, I am surprised that wasn't the first step between their transition. We'll see what happens. Let me know what else you guys think about this car. I think some numbers I saw, they may be getting somewhere around 880, 900 horsepower. I wouldn't be surprised for marketing purposes that they don't just do 1,000 horsepower electric car. Horsepower, I don't know how they measure that when it comes to the electric car. They would just do it on a dyno, I guess. And I don't know what figures Tesla, if they've announced it. I don't know if Tesla announces those figures or what figures those come out to. But, it's an exciting world to be in, with electric transition. We'll see what happens if, by chance, maybe Chevy comes in with a Camaro electric vehicle, or maybe Ford comes in with one. I mean, they have the Mach-E SUV, and I don't know if there's any talks about having a Mach-E version of the coupe. I do know that they're planning on keeping the coupe around for a little bit. Limitless Vlogs, I was just in his premiere and was telling him that you and him were the only nice people to me, and they asked who you were, so I said the channel name. I appreciate that, Limitless Vlogs. Thank you, man. Sucks I still haven't seen you at any of the car shows. We just happen to miss each other, but at the next car show, I'm sure we'll catch each other and say hello. We have a lot of people joining. Thank you so much. Huge thanks to TK for sharing this out. So we're talking about the electric muscle car. So, that's the one that Dodge just announced today, which will be coming out in 2024. So curious to hear people's thoughts on it, whether they're for it or against it. And then we'll talk about also the Ford Bronco, which I ordered and is coming. It's actually already shipped, so it should be here within the next couple weeks. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the electric muscle car. What do you think about the style? Would this convince you to sell whether you have a Challenger, Charger, Hellcat, Scat Pack, would this convince you to sell it? Obviously, we don't know the price point, and we'll see what happens, but would this convince you to transition into electric, or do you think that the value of your vehicle is going to go up, and do you still miss the sound of that glorious V8, which I think we all will, but still curious to hear all your thoughts. Let's see, Limitless Vlogs. Next car show, I'll just stay by your car and not care if I die from the heat. Yeah, it's the last car show was extremely miserable temperatures, and I think somebody may have had a heat stroke or something. It's unbearably hot. That is why we're not in the garage today sitting in front of the Hellcat, and we're just in the office, because it is way too hot. It's like 95 degrees in the garage and there's no airflow. So JK Ball TV, you said I'll stick to my Hemi 300 for now. Awesome. Yeah. I think there's definitely going to be a market for both people. Dodge brought up in that teaser video that one of their biggest buyers is the millennial market. And a lot of that age group prefer electric cars, or they're more accepting of electric cars than any other generation. And so, they obviously see that if they don't do this, they may be falling behind. And I think there's going to be a market that's still, Trucking with Jay said, I'll never give up with my V8 roar. There's still going to be people that are like that just don't want to, because there's a lot of advantages to it. It'd be kind of cool to have both in the garage. I mean, to keep one of these muscle cars, either current generation or 1960s and 70s muscle cars, to keep some of those and, have one of these electric powerhouses that can smoke any car on the drag strip or on the road. Let's see. Limitless Flex, I was hiding next to Stradman 6x6 in the shade for a little. Then I wanted to get a drink from food trucks. Saw your car. Appreciate that, man. Yep, Stradman was there. So that video will probably be out in a couple weeks. I didn't get to meet him because there was just a mob around him, but it was cool to take photos of some of his Bugatti, or one of his Bugattis, and then another Bugatti Chiron next to him. Let's see, JK Ball. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, but not ready for that route yet. And yeah, almost at 200 viewers. Yeah, 233 according to my count. So thank you all for joining this live stream. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this electric muscle car. Yeah, I am curious where they're going to take this. And I think the whole industry is changing. I don't expect naturally aspirated is going to stay forever. And I'm okay with that. The one thing I'm not okay with is, and I'm really hesitant about, is automated vehicles, autonomous driving. I think in some situations it's fantastic. Like if I'm out and obviously if I go to a bar, get some drinks, it would be awesome. Rather than calling an Uber, I could hop in my car and my car takes me home without any issues. That saved me a lot of money. And just commuting to the office, I get to work while I'm in the car. But my complaint with it is, and my concern is, they're going to start getting rid of steering wheels. They're going to start getting rid of the exhilarating experience of owning and driving a car. And I think that part of that is probably the electric translation into the electric vehicles, because it's just easier to do that with electric cars than than internal combustion. And I just don't want it to go that route. Let me know what you guys think, because that is the concern I have, that people are getting more and more comfortable with this autonomous driving. And the majority of people probably, if you're not a car enthusiast, you don't like commuting. You don't like driving. You don't go up the canyon in your car just, for the hell of it to have some fun. You just look at it as a mode of transportation. And that is where, if the majority of people think that way, they may be leaning towards that type of audience. Let's see. Limitless Vlog. So you talked to Stradman while you were at the car show. Nice. Good job, man. And then Golden Armor 2099. Hello. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you joining this live stream. And yep, you got a shout out right there. So thanks for joining. The Chiron, his name is Brad. His Instagram is Utah Supercar Owner. So that's awesome. I thought Post Malone was the only other person in Utah that had a Chiron, but it looks like there's two people now. E-Train, I will not be an early adopter for any EV brand, let alone a Dodge EV. Yeah. E-Train, that's kind of something I touched upon, is Dodge and Stellantis, to my understanding, doesn't really have an existing electric platform. So it could be kind of difficult for them to release this super, powerful car. I mean, let's look at Tesla. And I keep bringing this up because it's kind of the leader in the industry right now for electric cars, at least in the United States market. When you look at early Teslas, even the first few years of the Model 3, there were some issues there, and because Tesla has a brand and a following, and I get that, most people were okay with it. But even some of the diehard fans were like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. And that happens every time you release a new car. The same thing I know is going to happen to my Ford Bronco. The first year production, first 2-3 years, you're probably going to see some issues, reliability, technology-wise. And Dodge is, that's no exception to them. And so I do see that being a problem, especially if they're pricing a car in the high, $80,000, $90,000 range. You're going to have not only a different level of service, but also better reliability. Umesh Singh, hi, hello. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Thank you for joining. Welcome, everyone. I'm guessing TK hit the like button. So, yep, Limitless Vlogs. Thank you for doing that, for following up on the chat. Marina Osipova, when we will be able to see your Bronco? So, update on that. For those of you that don't know, which if you're not a follower of the channel, I did order. I reserved a Ford Bronco about a year ago, almost to the date. And as of the latest update I got from my Ford dealership, it is in transit. I think it's on the Union Pacific Railroad or train, as I should say, as we speak. Last update I got was it is in Indiana. So hopefully, according to Ford, my date should be July 19th through the 25th. So not this coming up week, but the week after that. That's when I should be taking delivery of my 2021 Ford Bronco. And I continue to check the website as often as I can, because Ford did a pretty good job on their ordering process, where they had a centralized website where we could check on the cars and, make sure that, if it's in the production stage, shipping, delivery, et cetera. And that's the date that they're estimating my car to arrive. And so we'll see. Hopefully the following week. I am hoping that if it hits the train sometime in the next day or two, If it's not on there already, it may come as early as next week. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for that. I'm excited to bring that content. I did not expect to be one of the earlier deliveries of the Bronco. There's some people who don't even have a production date yet. And mine was not the first edition. It was very much like a lower trim model. But that's, I think, one of the reasons why I was able to get it earlier on, is because there's no frills on this Bronco. It's pretty basic. So that's why I got lucky. Limitless Vlogs, Brad has a Chiron P1, LFA, CGT, and a lot more. That is way too many cars than that I could even think to afford. So Golden Armor 299, hi, are you going to get a Dodge EV? No plans yet. To me, it's way too early. Like E-Train mentioned, I don't know if the reliability is going to be there. I do want to see, for one, pricing, if it's even in the price point where I could afford it. And two, what are the specs? What is it offering? I am a little concerned that this is their first all-electric car, and I could see issues with that. And so I think it'd be cool to see at car shows. I mean, if I could get it on the YouTube channel and make videos about it, I think that would be great. But I don't know if I would be the early adopter of that. Same to say about the Bronco. If the Bronco was an all-electric SUV from Ford, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. Ford has probably a little bit more experience with electric vehicles than I would say Dodge does. But that's not to say that Ford is any more reliable or anything like that. But let's see. Limitless Vlogs. Brad even has one of Paul Walker's old BMWs. That's crazy. There's a lot of money flowing around here in Utah. It's insane. Another thing I want to touch upon in today's video is, I recently booked an experience, and I posted it on the community tab. If you guys follow that on my YouTube page, at the end of October, I am going to be going on the SRT Racing Experience out in Arizona. So if you guys aren't familiar, if you buy or lease or whatever a new Dodge SRT product, which really limits you to a Hellcat or above, since they don't really make the SRT anymore. If you purchase one of those, they give you about 1 year from the date you purchased it to redeem an offer where you can go out to one of their tracks, or I should say it's the only track. It used to be the Bondurant Racing School. It has since been purchased and rebranded to Radford Racing School. And they have a partnership with Dodge where you can pretty much fly there. You pay for the flight, obviously the hotel, unless you live in that area. But Dodge pays for your 1-day ticket to go out and race, a bunch of SRT Hellcats, maybe red eyes, around a racetrack. You do some slalom racing, you do some, racing with a professional driver and you're in the passenger seat. And then you get to take it around the track. And it really teaches you, how maneuverable your cars are, what the limit of the Hellcat is. And it's way more than probably what I know, its capabilities. And I'm super excited that I finally booked that, with 2020 being kind of a crazy year. I didn't really get a chance to do that really any time in the last, 8 or 9 months that I've owned the vehicle. So I finally have the opportunity to be able to travel. And so, I will be in Arizona, in Phoenix specifically, near the end of October. So if you guys do live in that area, I don't have that much time in the city. I'm only there for pretty much a day and a half. But the event ends at 5 o'clock, so I should have the evening. So if you guys are in the area and you want to meet me, I'm happy to meet up with you guys and girls out there, you subscribers. So let me know. Just hit me up on Instagram or however you want to. Creighton TV. Let's see. I think I missed some. Let's see. Limitless Vlogs. He works for Brandon Fugo. If you know him, I don't actually. Golden Armor. Do you think the Dodge EV is a good idea? I do. I actually, and I touched upon this a little bit earlier, so I'm going to quickly just discuss it. But I think it is a good idea because we are getting to the limits of what internal combustion engines can do, which is what they said in their marketing. But I think it's true. There's electric cars that can do way more in terms of performance than really a supercharged, 800 horsepower Hellcat can do. I think in order to compete with the likes of other performance brands, and I'm not just talking about Ford and Chevy, I'm talking about some of the other performance brands that Dodge competes with, even like AMGs and, some of these really powerful cars from the likes of even Ferrari, like people, Not that Ferrari ever competes with Dodge, but in order to get to that performance, they need to do something, either reduce weight, which is kind of very difficult for them to do just because that's not Dodge in general, or they need to add more performance, and then you're just stuck with a bunch of burnouts. And so you need all-wheel drive, and that just adds more weight. And so I think EV is the best way to go to be able to accomplish that. But Creighton TV, thank you so much. What's good, bro? How you doing? Good. Thank you for joining the live stream. We just chatted earlier today about this same exact subject, and so I figured I would just talk about it on a live stream. So Trucking with Jay, I got the same offer with my 50th anniversary Scat Pack. Remind me what offer you're talking about. I may have missed it or talked about it, but let me know. Also, awesome ride. 50th anniversary edition vehicles are just they're really cool, and I think they're going to go up in value in a few years. Let's see. Brandon Frugo is probably the richest Utah guy, worth a little more than $7.5 billion. He owns most plots of land here in Utah. I didn't even know. That's crazy. You learn something new every day about the state you live in. So. Yeah, but that's kind of the update. So in Arizona, end of October, let me know if you guys want to meet up, and we'll discuss cars and Dodge. And that should be a really exciting event. I plan to film as much content as I can. I think I can bring my camera. I won't be able to like mount it on the car, so we'll see what I can do, but I'll do the best I can. Oh, I see what you mean. Trucking with Jay, SRT Racing School. Oh, so it looks like 50th anniversary is also included. That's good to know. I didn't know that. I'm not sure on their website. I couldn't distinguish whether the Jeep Trackhawk is included, even though it's a Hellcat engine. It's SRT. I don't know if Jeep is included. It just mentioned Dodge and, including the Durango. But I don't know if Jeep is included. So let me know if you guys know about that. But that is pretty much the big updates on the channel. Let me know what you guys think about all of the above. Are you guys excited to see the Ford Bronco on the channel? It's definitely a turn away from the Mopar content that I've been used to. Creighton TV, you just asked me, you were able to bring your camera and they record too and give you the footage. So that's great to know. So hopefully that will bring some really cool video footage for you guys of the racing event and how bad of a racer I really am on the track. So that's an exciting event that I'm really stoked for and have been wanting to do since before I even got the Hellcat. I knew that this was an opportunity, and I was just waiting for the right chance to do it. So excited about that. Also super stoked about the Bronco, and I don't even know why. Like, the Hellcat is my dream car, and I've loved it. And the Bronco is just like, something I thought would be really fun to have, and I'm getting more and more excited to own it. And just take it off road and hopefully enjoy it in the next month or two before weather starts getting pretty bad. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be driving it in the wintertime and through snow and everything, but, I'm not going to take the doors off, not going to take the roof off in the wintertime. So I'm excited to enjoy it over the next couple months before, everything kind of turns to crap here in Utah. So excited about that. And, it's Area 51 color, which is you see them on the Bronco Sports, but it's a really cool color on the Bronco. And I'm excited to bring you guys that footage. I plan to make as much content as I can about that. And as for the Hellcat, it still sits in the garage. I drive it occasionally. I took it to a lot of car shows in the last couple of weeks, and there will be a video out tomorrow about one of the car shows I went to. And that thing's doing great. I did, the last modification, not that it added any horsepower, but I added a little decal to the back, which replaced the Dodge emblems because that back area gets scratched up. It just unbelievably too much. So that's what I've been working on. And let me know what else you guys want to talk about. That was my topic for today's video, and we'll see where it goes. Let's see. Limitless Vlogs, I don't know if I want to say this, but I'm surprised that there have been no donations with 10 times the viewers as the last stream. Yes. I don't know. Maybe I didn't turn Super Chat on or something like that. That could be possible. I don't do these for the Super Chats, but if you have that option, I appreciate it, but it could be something on my end. With me having to restart this live stream 3 different times because YouTube is being difficult, I may have missed something along that. Let's see. Marina Espova, we know you love your Hellcat, but which car would be replacement for it in the nearby future? That's a good question. It's a tough question too, because here I am talking about it being my dream car, and now I'm going to be talking about a replacement. I don't have any plans yet. I do really like the C8 Corvette. I've always liked it. Well, always is relative since it only came out or announced 2 years ago. But ever since it was announced, my plan was to potentially, this was back when I had the Scat Pack, I was going to custom order or reserve a C8 Corvette. But then from everything I was hearing, I was probably not going to take delivery for 2 years. And that's true today. I mean, a lot of people who are taking delivery of the C8 Corvette now, they've been in a very, very long line, even longer than the Bronco. And so I kind of, talked myself out of it. And I've always had an interest in that car, especially with some of the, the way, obviously the way it looks, but the way you can customize the interior and the performance specs of the C8 Corvette is something that rivals supercars, which is something that Dodge is trying to get to with its EV. I mean, you're talking, almost a 2.5 second 0 to 60 on the C8 Corvette, and that's not even the Z06 or the ZR1. So, that's another thing the Dodge could do is make it a mid-engine car, which would look very weird because that's not really in Dodge's heritage to do that. But that would probably be the car that I would consider, but it would have to be a really good price since they're extremely overpriced right now. And there's just so many markups on everything that, if the right one came along and I was kind of tired of my Hellcat or wanted something different, I'd maybe do a Corvette. But that's really off in the future. Let's see. I'm going to go, but subbed. I hope to see the channel grow. Thank you so much, Golden Armor. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Hopefully you're still on when I was talking about the C8 Corvette. But thanks so much for joining the live chat. I appreciate it. And hopefully you enjoy the content that keeps coming. Limitless Vlogs. I know it's on. I could donate if I had money. Okay, well, good to know that Super Chat is on. But yeah, I appreciate it. No need to donate. If you do, great. Thank you. But otherwise, definitely don't feel any obligation. So yeah, that's kind of the replacement to the Hellcat if it ever comes. Not that I imagine that happening. The Bronco is kind of what my exciting new car is going to be. And then after that, and I know I've teased this for a very long time, but I'd probably bring on a project car, something a lot cheaper before I do anything to replacing the Hellcat. I think that car is going to stay on the channel for a pretty long time. And, I'm not going to do too much to it. Performance-wise, it's way more power than I can handle. But it's just going to kind of be like my weekend car, which, I bought it 9 months ago, and I'm only at 4,400 miles right now. And part of that was a really long trip from Denver, Colorado, driving it back home here when I bought it. So let's see. Marino Spove said, why Hellcat doesn't come with four-wheel drive? It's a good question, and that's kind of what some people were hoping this new announcement would be today, would be a hybrid where you'd have electric motors up front powering the front wheels and then, internal combustion engine powering the back. You get all-wheel drive, you get all-wheel traction. I think the main reason is probably because of weight. And let me know what you guys think if you guys are, maybe more engineering inclined or more familiar with it. But I think weight is the big. There's not really a way they could fit all that they have right now in the current platform. That's why you can get the all-wheel drive in the Jeep Trackhawk. It's a Hellcat engine, but it's a taller body. They're able to fit in all of the components necessary to all-wheel drive in a Hellcat engine. I just don't think that the Challenger is made for that, and neither is the Charger. It would require them to reconstruct the entire frame and how they built on it. And I think that's the main reason. Also, there's something fun about rear-wheel drive cars. The fact that you can kind of toss them around a little bit easier. That's part of the experience. All muscle cars, back in the 60s and 70s, they were rear-wheel drive, and rear-wheel drive cars are just fun. Not to say that all-wheel drive isn't fun either. I mean, if you have all-wheel traction and you're accelerating, that's definitely fun. But there's something fun about burnouts and, being able to toss the car around a little bit. That's also part of the experience. So let's see, Trucking with Jay. I think the only Dodge body that could pull off the mid-engine design would be the Viper. Completely agree. And I'm sad they don't have it anymore. It was in that teaser video they announced today. They had the Viper standing there. I think it's a great looking car. I wish they kept it. Maybe it was a little bit overpriced, I guess, when you compare it to the Corvette, which is maybe its closest competitor. I think that would be a mid-engine, and that would be a monster. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to bring that back anytime soon. Limitless Logs just doesn't. Dodge thinks if you want an all-wheel drive Hellcat, just buy a Trackhawk. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Or there's the Ram TRX. That's another one with all-wheel drive. And yep, Deception Ravage. Decepticon Ravage. Thank you so much, SLC SRT. I know who you are. Sometimes rear-wheel drive is too much fun, and it's true. I mean, I think all-wheel drive makes sense for me where, I live in a climate where it snows, 8 months out of the year and it's crappy weather, but the majority of people, they don't really need all-wheel drive. And so there's kind of a double benefit for me because you get better traction and I can use it year round. But for most people, rear-wheel drive is enough. So, is Decepticon Ravage my guy Jake? It sure is. So thanks for joining, man. I hope you've been well. Your thoughts on the new Jeep Grand Cherokee Wagoneer? Yeah, so I'm excited for. I think it's about time that Jeep updates its Grand Cherokee SUV. I mean, I remember when they announced the current generation. And I know the Wagoneer is kind of the step up, the Grand Cherokee, but they use kind of a similar platform for the Grand Cherokee L, and then the Grand Wagoneer. I remember when they announced like shortly after the Great Recession, and it was a cool looking car. I mean, I remember the commercials. You had like the Johnny Cash music, and you had this Jeep going through the trails, and it was. I mean, I fell in love with the Grand Cherokee. I thought it was a really cool car, whereas before it was kind of a car I'd probably pass on. And I think that's why Dodge has kept it around for pretty much a decade, and they're finally revamping it. And, I think TFL Car brought up a good point. The design language isn't more of a revolution as much as like an evolution to what they had. And I think it looks really classy. I do think the price point of the Grand Wagoneer, I believe it's almost $100,000, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's a little steep for a Jeep. Personally, I just don't think they have that brand cachet to be able to ask those kind of prices. That being said, I do think people will buy it. Like, no question, you're buying a $70,000 Jeep Wrangler that, with the SRT engine in it, but still, I mean, people are buying those cars. They're going to buy a very plush luxury SUV. But I mean, when you're looking at its competitors, which you fall into Mercedes, Audi, Lexus, when you fall into that territory, it's kind of hard. It may be hard to compete with them. But Jeep has its own loyal followers, and there are some people who do not like the brand of Mercedes or Lexus. They don't want to be seen like they're driving around in a $100,000 car. And even if they are, the Jeep doesn't kind of hold that same value. And so they may be able to fly under the radar with a really good looking Jeep. So I'm excited for it. I'm liking that they're finally updating their trims. I think Challenger and Charger are probably due for an update since they're still riding on the same platform from like 2008. Not that it doesn't work. It works well. My car is solid. It works awesome. But it's probably time for them to use maybe a more up-to-date, maybe a safer, newer generation technology for their platform. And I think this merger with Stellantis will hopefully provide them some parts that they can piece together to create the next generation of vehicles. I don't know if this is fact, but to me, Dodge always seemed like the least funded of all of the three American muscle car or American cars. Ford, they got tons of money. GM is probably the largest, I think, if not the largest manufacturer, auto manufacturer. They have tons of money. Dodge has always been kind of like the underdog. And so without Stellantis merger, maybe they wouldn't have enough resources to throw some more money at a new platform. I think Stellantis mentioned that they are kind of giving a lot of their brands some cash and just seeing what they do with it. And if they fail, they might cut them off, or if they do well, it's just going to be even better. So I think having this kind of big, almost like a bank funding them is going to help create some new cool products that we haven't seen before. Let's see. Georgie Oganov, is the fiance going to get the Trackhawk? I've been trying to convince her, but I think the answer is no. So if you guys aren't familiar, she has a Range Rover Evoque, and she is leasing the vehicle and is coming to an end here in the next little bit. And so she's looking at what other cars to get. And I've tried to convince her to get the Jeep Trackhawk, but I think she's probably leaning towards potentially an electric car, which we've talked about in previous live streams. She hates filling up gas. That's her biggest pet peeve. She hates spending time doing that. So she may be doing an electric car. So that would be interesting. I don't even know exactly what route we would go. I don't know if Tesla would maybe be a consideration, maybe even the Mustang Mach-E or something like that. Or she actually really likes the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. So there's some options. And there are some really cool cars coming out in the next 6 to 12 months. So potentially maybe one of those new cars that is coming out. But I wish she would take the Trackhawk. That would be cool to have both Hellcat engines in the garage. Limitless Vlogs. My cat stepped on my phone. What were you talking about? I was talking about the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. So I'm excited for updates on that. And I think it's the one thing I'm sad about is the disbanding of the SRT team that Dodge announced about a couple months ago. I don't know exactly what that's going to mean. I don't think that means that we're not going to see any Hellcats anymore. I mean, obviously with today's release, they're still focusing on muscle cars. They're still focusing on performance. And, maybe the disbanding of SRT and moving it to other divisions within the company will lead to a Grand Wagoneer SRT, or, I don't know if, they have the Compass still, I think. If they have a Compass SRT, I don't know what they're going to do with that. But maybe it means more SRT products rather than just kind of the handful that they have right now. We'll see what happens with that. But that's one thing I'm a little bit upset about. Midnight Marauder 392. Swayze, would you consider getting the electric muscle car coming out? Yeah, I touched about this a little bit earlier. I would consider it. It'd have to be the right price. It would have to be some sort of really cool specs. I mean, we're talking, my biggest hesitation right now with electric in general, because I've done a review on the Model 3 a few years ago. I really like the Model 3. Very quick, very usable. I mean, just like technologically advanced. There's so many cool features that they can do, just like streaming it and downloading software. I really like it, but my big hesitation is range. I don't know how long I'm going to drive. I mean, and I don't even plan for that. I get in the car and I'm like, today I'm going to drive, 200 miles, and I just happen to drive it. I mean, that range anxiety would just drive me crazy. I probably wouldn't drive the car. And so until they come out with like really fast superchargers that can charge the car as quickly as I can get gas, or they have like really long range where I know I can make a trip from, like, let's say Salt Lake City, Utah to Las Vegas and back, or at least to there, and charge up once overnight and drive back, then I would definitely consider something like that. But I think if they did create something like that, and I do think that Dodge's price point for this new car is probably going to be in the $80,000, $90,000 range, if not more than that. They may do something like, Corvette has done and Bronco's doing right now, where you have the entry level that maybe starts at 80, and then you have the first edition, which is like $120,000, $200,000, or $150,000. And I think the price could be justified because you have really powerful performance. You got, a really long range battery, but at that price point, I would definitely not be able to go for that. So it really depends. So far, I'm not calling up my dealership and saying, hey, put a, reservation on this car. So let's see. Nikita Oganov, I ordered your shirts from Swayze store and it's awesome. Very much like it. Thank you so much. Yes. So if you guys don't know, we do have the merch store running, and it's the original Swayze engine that you guys have seen on the channel for the last 2 or so years. And we have some posters on there and some canvas prints, some tank tops, so sweatshirts as well. So check it out if you guys are interested in supporting me in the channel. Feel free to check out that the merch store. It's actually on the YouTube channel, and it should be linked on every video. So if you guys are curious, you guys can check out some of the cool merchandise. Thank you, Nikita, for purchasing that the shirts. I appreciate it. I think I saw your order come through. So thank you for ordering a bunch of different items, actually. Decepticon Ravage, I would be interested in Dodge's brand of eMuscle, but I don't like range anxiety. And there's also the concept of the first run bugs that can exist. Yeah, it's going to happen. And for the first adopters, you're going to have to deal with it, just like people dealt with it with Tesla. Just like I know I'm going to deal with it with the Bronco. So, Nikita, who created the design of your beautiful shirts? Oh, thank you. It was kind of me. I mean, I used I created these shirts when me and my fiance, she got me the gift of going to the LA Auto Show a few years back before the pandemic. And I wanted to represent my channel. And so I found this website where I could kind of use some clip art and create it. And I did, and that worked great. But then for the release of the merchandise, I actually recreated this design myself using some stock photos. And so that it was pretty much me, but I used the template of a different video, a different photo. So that's that. But yeah, I agree with eMuscle. Also, I don't know if I love that branding either. You know, they said, what did they say? Like, we don't build muscle cars, or we don't build electric cars. We build muscle cars, and they said it's eMuscle. I don't know what they're going to do with that type of branding, but we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. I think Dodge, or I should say Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, you know, I think they arguably have some of the best marketing ever. I mean, the fact that they can resell a almost 15-year-old car and outsell a Camaro and a Mustang in the year 2021 just proves that, you know, marketing does work. You know, they're in the Fast and the Furious movies. They're, you know, every time you see one at the car show, they're doing burnouts. I mean, they've made this a theatrical event, and I bet they're going to do the same thing with this electric car. So I'm curious, unless their entire marketing team is left, I bet they'll do something really cool with that. Limitless Vlogs, you said, did you have PPF on the Hellcat? I do. Yes, I do have paint protection film. I made a video about that early on, probably November of last year. I got it on pretty early after I purchased the vehicle. It's actually on the entire front end, including the fenders, the wide body, and the mirrors. So it stops at the doors. It doesn't go further back than that, but I want to make sure the whole front end is protected, because here in Utah, you got some of the worst roads on the planet. I mean, rock chips fly out at you left and right. I was very, very fortunate that on my trip from Colorado back here to Utah, I didn't noticeably get rock chips, but I was very, very fortunate. I was actually going to do PPF the day I purchased the car in Colorado, but it was on a holiday weekend and that place was closed. So I just hit the road with what I had. I even considered getting one of those black canvas masks or something to cover up the front, and I couldn't find one. So I did get it, and I enjoy it so far. It's you know, it's an ease of mind where I'm driving down the road. I know that it's not going to chip my paint. Speaking of rock chips, my fiance actually did get a really large rock chip that overnight that was unnoticeable because it was below the windshield, visible windshield. Overnight it cracked, and you know, she took it to this place here locally. I'm not going to say exactly where, but because I don't want to throw them under the, you know, into the fire. But they ended up running over her key fob and ruining her key fob on her car. And so that was an experience where we had to figure out that you know, how they're going to pay for this replacement key fob. And those key fobs are not cheap. You know, they got the range kind of distance control sensors and stuff, and you can control so many things with it. And they just ended up rolling over it with a couple vehicles as they were replacing her windshield. I guess they put it on the roof and it flew off. So that was kind of an event, but I thought that was interesting because I'd never heard of somebody doing that on a vehicle. But let's see, Limitless Vlogs, just a solid 190, 200 viewers. Yeah, we're doing great. We got 192 right now. Thank you all for joining in. If you guys haven't subscribed, you know, there's new videos every single Friday. You know, I do a lot of Mopar content, but, you know, I'm also focusing on this future Ford Bronco. So Limitless Vlogs, you should wrap it in Strad purple. So, you know, I've considered, I actually do like that purple color even before he did that on his cars. I'll be honest, the plum crazy purple color on the Challenger was what I really wanted when I purchased my Scat Pack back in 2018. I just couldn't really find one at the right price. And I've always loved that color. So purple may be coming in, but now that it's overdone by some other YouTubers, I'm like, well, I don't want to repeat it. Even if I had the idea before it was there, I just don't want to copy that or anything like that. So there may be a wrap in the future. I don't think on the Hellcat, like a full wrap. There may be something planned for the Bronco. I do have some ideas on that just to make it a little bit different. Let's see, Georgie Oganov, why did you decide to betray the Mopar family and go with a Ford? I thought you were Dom, not. That's good. Nice job there. Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I'm Dom mixed with Jacob. That's going to be the next movie where they have like some guy who has both a Ford and a Dodge. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, the reason I chose the Bronco was it's an exciting new car. I mean, it's something that I've always liked, big and brawny SUVs, and I've never really had a chance to own one. As a kid, like my favorite cars were these giant, super like gas guzzling vehicles like the Hummer. I love the Ford Expedition and Excursion for some reason. I don't know why I like those cars. The Lincoln Navigator. I love big vehicles. And, over time, I've only owned like kind of smaller sports sedans or just some small SUVs. And now I have the Hellcat. But I've like always had that in the back of my mind of having this like go over all terrain type of car. And, I was looking for something that would be kind of new on the channel. At the time I reserved the Bronco, I did not expect to get the Hellcat. So that kind of shifted my plans, but I was thinking of something new, and Ford announced this last July, and, it seemed like it was getting a ton of interest. To me, it looked like a really cool looking car. I love cars that look like they're retro versions. I mean, as you can probably tell with the Hellcat, it's probably the one car that looks exactly like a 1970s muscle car. And to me, the Bronco looks very, very similar to the old Broncos of the, late 60s, 70s. And so I thought this would be a cool car to bring to the channel, and it would be a good replacement to my Toyota RAV4. So my RAV4 is, as you guys know, I leased that vehicle. That one is coming to an end here in the next few months. And, I decided this would be a good opportunity to transition into something different and bring some fresh content. And so, not hating on Dodge or Jeep or anything like that, but they weren't coming out with anything more affordable-ish. And in the SUV realm with all-wheel drive, I was not going to go get a 15-year-old Dodge Journey and bring that to the channel, because that's just, I'm not into that car. So, and Jeep, the reason I didn't go for a Jeep, even though they're still doing some really cool stuff with that, is here in Utah, there's a Jeep and a Subaru for like every single McDonald's. I mean, there's so many of those vehicles, because everybody here loves Jeeps because they're rock crawlers, and everybody pretends like they do off-roading, which I know I will too with my Bronco. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an off-roader, but there's so many of them out there. And same with the Subarus. Everybody has all-wheel drive. They take it up to the mountains. And so that was something to me that I wanted something different. And that's why I moved away from Dodge for that part. But General Alpha W, man, I've watched the new Dodge trailer 8 times so far. Yeah, I watched it a couple times as well. I thought it was going to be a big presentation. I mean, from what my understanding, it was just that video, which was about 5 minutes long. But Gary Fuller, do you think Dodge will go electric only, or will they still keep making Hemi muscle as well? That's a good question. And I was debating this before I was doing this live stream. Where are they headed? I think they're going to keep the Hellcat, Challenger, and Charger, or I should say not the Hellcat, but just direct or naturally aspirated internal combustion. I keep confusing those two. Internal combustion engine in the near term. I don't think they're going to move away from that. But I do think that it's probably going to move towards a hybrid and possibly full electric. I mean, regulation keeps coming down that limits emissions. They're not able to put in certain engines like the Elephant engine. They can't really put that into any car because it won't meet emissions. And so they're going to be restricted by that. And I think for good reason to a certain extent. I mean, obviously we don't want to pollute, and some of these cars pollute a lot. And if you think about it, the technology that we have today on these cars, the fact that they pollute so little compared to the same cars in the 60s and 70s with half the horsepower is really a testament to technology and where it's come. But there's going to be a limit to that. And I think the advancements in electric in terms of power delivery and maybe the infrastructure that builds up with that, if there's tons of electric stations like there are gas stations, I'm sure they're probably going to come up with an all electric. So I think it depends on where the industry is headed. I think it's heading that way. I don't know if it's just a fad right now and maybe some manufacturers will come back, but it's probably heading that direction because it seems to me like the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to electric power, at least for the average buyer. Let's see. Limitless Vlogs. He ain't betraying Mopar. He didn't buy a Mustang. Hey, you don't know. Maybe I have a reservation for a Mustang. Let's see, Nikito, how many horsepower has the Ford Bronco? So good question. And there's actually 4 different figures for the 2 different engines. It's kind of funny. So, and I'm probably going to miss some of the numbers. So the one I ordered is the weaker engine. It's a 2.3 liter EcoBoost. And that one, I believe, on premium fuel gets close to 300 or 305 horsepower, or maybe 295. So high 200s, low 300s. If you do like regular unleaded gasoline, then that's going to be around 275 horsepower. And your torque figures are, I think, close to like 300, 315. So that's the weaker engine. So somewhere near the 300 range. I don't have the number off the top of my head. If you choose the 2.7 liter, I think it's an inline six, or maybe it's a V6. It's a turbocharged V6, 2.7 liter. That one can get up to 400 pound-feet of torque, and I believe the horsepower is close to like 350. And also on the more premium fuel as well. So there's different figures that they came out with depending on what gasoline you use, but you can use just the regular base. I think it's 83 or 85 octane, and you'll be fine. You're just going to have a little bit less horsepower. There's rumors that they'll create a super powerful, maybe a V8 Bronco, something similar to the Raptor. I think there's some rumors about that. I could see it happening. I just don't know if they're going to do that now. I can also see them putting in a hybrid type of powertrain on the Bronco as well. So for now, the figures for me are really good. It's a heavy car though. I think it's over 5,000 pounds if you do the four-door. And so 300 horsepower is probably appropriate. I'm coming from 175 horsepower in my Toyota, so it's going to be a bit of a jump, although the power delivery is going to be different because it is a turbocharged engine. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Ninope, can't believe how well Hummers have held their value. I know, seriously. I mean, they're expensive cars, and the new one's going to be even more expensive. But I never tracked the value of the Hummer back when gas prices skyrocketed, during the recession, and then kind of dropped again. I wonder if the value changed significantly. I mean, that's why they stopped making them in 2008, 2009. But I haven't tracked their value. But right now, and even in the last year or so, Hummers have had a really good value. You could probably, it's hard to find one, I think, less than $10,000 even for a high mileage one. And there's still a few in my neighborhood. You see them rolling around, and it surprises me, but I think they're cool cars. I think they're really cool looking, I should say. I don't know about driving or owning one. And I even, back when the car was out, I even tried to convince my mom to buy one. And we test drove one. I was in the back, of course. I couldn't drive at the time, but it's a fun car. It's just, it looks like a little Hot Wheels or a Tonka car, but just big size. And it's got, cheap GM interior, but for the 2000s, but it's still a fun car. And I think it was pretty somewhat capable off-road, just way too heavy. I think those things are like 6,000 to 8,000 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. It's just way too much weight to throw around off-road. Let's see. Junior Alsala, hey, glad to see the stream actually being able to reach a lot of people since it's a Thursday night. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for joining. I got to thank TK's Garage. He's the one that shared it, I think, on his page, and he's got way more subscribers than I do. So I'm sure a lot of you guys on here are big followers of TK's Garage, and a huge shout out to him. I know he can't join the rest of the live stream, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have as many people as we have today. So very appreciate it. Limitless Vlogs, this is very enjoyable. Thanks, man. I appreciate you joining, just like you did last time. Trucking with Jay, Dodge won't stop the Hemi as long as they are still selling strong, unless the EPA stops them. Exactly. I mean, Dodge would have come out with a new Challenger if they weren't selling them amazingly well. I mean, the platform is old. They keep selling them, and they're going to do the same thing unless, like you said, the EPA comes in, they start putting in more and more regulations, which I could see that happening. And also, we're not just talking about the EPA, they're out of the country, in the international markets, they got to compete there as well, especially since now that they're part of Stellantis, which has a big European stronghold. They're going to have to create products that are universal between continents even. And Europe has pretty strict emission standards as well. And so that could influence what they produce here, because they kind of, for production purposes and cost purposes, they're going to have to make similar products. And so the world in general, depending on how they take regulation on these, on smog and emissions in general, that's going to influence what kind of cars we see here on the road. We've been a little bit more sheltered than some of the European cars, just because we have, big American manufacturers here that sell a lot of their cars here. But I mean, Tesla is running against competition in China. China has a large electric car market, and it's hard to penetrate there. And these manufacturers are global, and that changes the way we see products today. So, let's see, Ninope, what classic car do you wish would make a comeback? I love the Barracuda or the Hemi Cuda, the Plymouth. That to me is a really cool looking muscle car. Maybe a little underappreciated. I think their values are a little bit less than like the Challengers and Chargers of the same time. But I just think those cars are just so cool looking. And, I don't know how they would bring it back, if they would somewhat do kind of the similar fin style front end or what they would do. But that, and we were talking about this earlier with previous viewers, that maybe that's going to be the name of the new electric vehicle they release. Maybe it's going to be the Barracuda, but I just love the look of that car. Some other old school cars, some of the ones I love, they brought back. Like I am a sucker for the 60s, late 60s Mustang. Even though I'm a Dodge fan, that car to me, I would love to own one. I love those Mustangs. They're just really cool looking cars. They kind of changed the way the industry works at the time in terms of the cars they were manufacturing. And so, and that car exists today, although I don't love the new one as much as I love the old ones. There were a lot of cool cars back then. I mean, I like the Coronet, the Dodge Coronet, the Super B, which they kind of brought that back for the name badge, at least for the Scat Pack. But the Coronet was a really cool car. And what I like about Dodge is they kind of merged a lot of these cool muscle cars together into at least the Challenger. The Charger is too, but the Challenger, at least appearance wise, is kind of like that. Let's say Kit Kat, I'm local. Are you doing any car shows or car cruises in the near future? Good question. There was just a lot this last weekend and the week before. I did the All Mopar one, and then I did the one up in Eaglewood Golf Course. Shoot me a message on Instagram if you have one. And I'll let you know. I'll have to look at my calendar. I think there's a couple coming up in the near future here. I try to go to the one at Traverse Mountain, which is, I think, the first Saturday of every month. So I may have missed this last one, but I try to go to those ones. And there's also one at Envision. It's a big car show that goes around at Envision. It's an auto detailing spot in Murray. I try to go to that one. So hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to let you know when I'm going to the next one. Happy to meet you in person as well. I love meeting my subscribers. Limitless Vlogs, 69 Daytona. Hands down, I would love for them to bring that back. They tried to use the Daytona name for the current Chargers, and it's really just like a piece of vinyl, like a vinyl sticker on the back that says Daytona. And, they do some little things here and there, but it's really not the Daytona Charger. That car was totally different than all the other Chargers. And that'd be cool if they bring that back. I don't know if they will, but Car Wash Power Brake. Hey, Schwazy, Ari PA checking in. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for joining. It's late over there in Pennsylvania. It's 11:17 right now. So very late. Thank you for joining today's live stream. It's getting dark here as well, so hopefully you guys can still see me okay. Nikita, how often are you using the LED lights you installed behind the front grille? What is the most usable color of that light? That's a good question. I feel like that's the most unused mod that I've done on my car, and I feel guilty doing it. But if you guys aren't aware, I took off my entire front bumper of the Hellcat, installed some LED lights that are like, phone operated. And then I put the bumper back on. I made a video about that back in like April. Big modification in terms of like the work that was required, taking off a perfectly good bumper, which I've never done before. And that one modification, like I rarely ever use. I rarely ever turn the lights on because it's not connected to like my headlights or any other circuit. It's really just connected to the battery. And so I just have to push a button on my phone to turn it on. That's what makes it a little difficult. My last, my Scat Pack, I had the illuminated headlight rings and I had all these different lights. Those would all turn on whenever my headlights would turn on. And so I didn't have to think about it to turn these features on. They would just automatically turn on. And so that's something I may do to these lights because, when I'm driving down the road, I don't really turn them on because I have to go through the effort of doing it. And when I'm at car shows, most of the car shows I go to are in the mornings or afternoons, and you cannot see those lights. So that's something I'm going to work on, but I've probably only used it like 2 or 3 times since I did the installation. I did turn it on at the last car show last Friday, but it was kind of during the day, so people couldn't really see it. And the color that I always use is the purple color because my car is hell raising. I got to do an homage to that. So I love the purple color of those LED lights. Limitless Vlogs, Steel Days AF is a great classic car show. I don't know if I know about that one coming up. Let me know. Shoot it over to me on Instagram. I'll try to join that one if I'm free that weekend. Red and blue LEDs are for jail and purple for fun. Yeah, definitely not red and blue. I'm technically I could turn it on at a car show, but I can never drive with red and blue. Not that I would want to. I like purple. I like the white color that shines through. So those are the colors that I would pick. But man, it's been a fantastic live stream. I mean, we'll probably start wrapping it up, but I covered everything I wanted to, including the electric muscle car. We're talking the Bronco and the SRT experience that I'm going to be going on here in a couple months that I'm super excited for. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I appreciate all of you, 173, 172 of you that have stayed on and watched this video. I'm sure a lot of you guys are from a different channel or found me on just the YouTube watch page. So I appreciate you guys joining and sticking around for this live stream. I try to do these once a month or so, a little bit more often recently. And, try to just give you guys an update, allow you to do a Q&A and just kind of get to know all my subscribers out there. So let's see. Limitless Vlogs. Jake can send it to you. He knows more about it than me. It's Saturday, though. Okay, good to know. This Saturday, I might be able to make it depending on what time it is. So, I'll look up that car show. Decepticon Ravage, SOC, SRT. Feel free to send that over to me on Instagram. Happy to see if I can stop by that show. The hardest part, the part I hate it most about these car shows is they happen, kind of during the day, like midday. Sometimes they're really early, and that way you can get by without getting heat stroke. But some of them are during the middle of the day, and it's just unbearable here. That's why I prefer to go to the spring and fall car shows, because at least I can just walk around and not have to feel like I'm just dying or have to put on a ton of sunscreen. But like lately, these car shows are they're just very, very hot. And I'm sure you all know, but if you guys are organizing car shows, just make them in the mornings or at nights. I just feel like that's going to be a lot better for more people. But 12 to 6. Okay. So in the dead heat of the day, that's good. I'll see. I'll try to stop by. That'd be cool. If I need to register, I'll look it up as well. But there you go, Kit Kat. If I can make it, I'm going to try to make it to that show here on Saturday at Rotary Park. So feel free to stop by, say hi. Most of the time I'm at these car shows, though, just an FYI, I am not near my car. I usually go around looking at other cars, filming other vehicles. That's why me and Limitless Vlogs never really see each other, is because I'm rarely nearby it. Friday was kind of an exception at the last car show. I was sitting behind my car because it was too hot. I was hiding behind the trunk of the vehicle so that I could get some shade. And I'd seen all the cars. So most of the time it might be hard to catch me, but if you guys ever see me out and about, definitely let me know. And yeah, probably 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but I'll have some shade too. So good to know. I definitely, I'll bring my little tent canopy to hide under if I can find a good spot. So exciting stuff. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Again, nothing crazy. It's a little kind of a shorter video. It's less than 10 minutes long. Just doing a little car show. It's the All Mopar car show that I went to a couple weeks ago, where my car actually won second place, which I did not expect to happen. There were a lot of cool current generation challengers out there, and my car happened to win second place in the competition. And I was super shocked. I had a couple friends actually reach out, and I had already left the event because I didn't expect to win anything and because it was hot. And they reached out to me and said I had won second place. So I quickly rushed back to the event, and I got this cool plaque, and you guys will see it in that video. So exciting that the Hell Raising has won an award. It's already won more awards in its 6-month lifespan than I have in my 26 years of existence. So that's good to hear. Limitless Vlogs, I'd hide in the trunk. Yeah, seriously. I should get a cooler in there and just hide back there. But PDL, just got my SCAF, 4,000 miles. Should I sell it right now to get that cat? Good question, man. I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me, since I had the Scat Pack before and I moved up to the Hellcat, is it worth it? And I've wanted to make a video about this, but I honestly haven't made up my mind enough to advise people on this answer. And I think if you're wanting to get the Hellcat, if that's been your dream car, I would say now is a great time to sell any car. People are just paying top dollar for anything. Now may not be the best time to buy a car, though. You could probably order a brand new one and probably get a really good, like, no markups and stuff like that, and get a good deal on it. But if we're talking used cars, I would not buy a new car. Maybe sell your Scat Pack, hold the money, wait maybe 3-4 months, and then buy it. But in terms of if it's worth it, the Scat Pack is a fantastic car. Bang for your buck. It's probably the best one, in my opinion, or the SRT. I'm talking about the same engine, the 6.4 liter. It's probably the best bang for your buck in the entire Dodge lineup. Like, that's, the Challengers of all of them, that car is like, that's my go-to. The Hellcat does do some things better, obviously. It has more horsepower. It's got more of that brand that, you pull up the car show, people are like, oh, that's a Hellcat, and that's part of the fun too of owning the car. But if we're talking, daily driving it, 0 to 60s, you're probably pretty close. You're within 90 to 95% owning the Scat Pack. Now, if you take it to a drag strip, yeah, the Hellcat is amazing. And if you are looking at 30 to 100 miles per hour, the Hellcat's amazing. But how often are you really going to do that? And, if money's no option, go for the Hellcat. But if you're looking at, like, value-wise, I think the Scat Pack value is amazing. Insurance is going to be cheaper. Maintenance is going to be probably the same, because the SRT, all SRT products fall under similar maintenance prices. But we're talking, like just replacing, anything that breaks on it is probably going to be cheaper than Hellcat parts, engine specific. I mean, other components are very similar on the cars, but that's something to consider. And I don't know if that's, that's good advice for you. But you said reason I say is because of that chip shortage. Yeah, it's a great car. I love it, but I always wanted a Hellcat. But I love the Scat either way. That's what I'm saying. If you've always wanted the Hellcat, go for it. I mean, and if you can afford it, and if the price is right for you, go for it, because you're not going to regret having the Hellcat and not owning the Scat Pack. Do I miss my Scat Pack? 100%. I love that car with the shaker hood. Some things that the Hellcat can't do that car did. Shaker hood being an example. But do I, wish I kept it and not gotten the Hellcat? No, I can't say that either. So for what that's worth, hopefully that gives you some info. But probably right now, buying it is not the best idea unless you custom order a new one, because then you can avoid some of that markup. But if you can sell and hold on to that money for a couple months, you'll probably be rewarded, especially wintertime. I feel like the prices for these cars come down a little bit. I say that, but we don't, talk to me 6 months ago, and who would have thought that back then prices were already really high for used cars. They've only gone up since then. So it's hard to say where the market is going to go, but the expectation is the chip shortage is going to be replenished. Ford has already said it's gotten pretty much all of the chips it needs for its F-150. So, it may be stabilizing in the near future. Great answer. Appreciate it, man. Just seeing everyone sell theirs for the Hellcats. I'm tempted right now. I know it's hard when you see a lot of people doing stuff and you're like, well, am I missing out if I'm not doing it? And I don't know. They're probably paying a premium on these Hellcats, though, because I took my Hellcat to CarMax after having it for like 3,000 miles, and they offered me obviously, less than what I would owe on it, but it was a pretty decent offer. I made a video about that. And it's only gone up since then because the chip shortage has only gotten worse. And so I don't know. I would definitely wait till the Hellcats are much cheaper. Yeah. I mean, in that case, man, you could test drive a Hellcat, see if you really love it. And then, list the Scat Pack and don't look back. So they're great choices. I guess great problems to have when you're picking between the two. So, nope. If you have something else to drive around in the meantime, then go for it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you can wait and hold that money, might as well. Let's see. Nikita Oganov, are Demon and Hellcat having different engine or computer settings? No, it's technically a different engine. It's a bigger supercharger. I think the Hellcat has a 2.3 liter supercharger. The Demon's a 2.7. And they also beefed up the engine components to handle that extra boost. So they are different engines technically. Now, they did take the Hellcat engine and develop the Demon off of it using some of the components, but they're technically different. It's not like I could take my Hellcat and just put a new computer ECU chip into it and all of a sudden I have the same horsepower. That's not how it's going to work. The Red Eye, though, and I'm not an engineer on this, but the Red Eye is very, very similar to the Demon engine. It's to my understanding, it almost is a detuned Demon, and you may be able to get close to the Demon horsepower if you put in that different chip. But I could be wrong about that. But the Red Eye is closer to the Demon engine than my Hellcat is. So, did you see the Demon at the car show, Limitless Vlogs? I did. Yeah, I saw the red Demon, and then my buddy Johnny, he actually he's a good friend of mine in the Salt City Mopar. He has a white Demon as well, and I've seen his at previous car shows. So I finally got to see it. I didn't sit inside his Demon, but I did look inside of Johnny's. And so I finally got to see two in the last couple months in person. They're fantastic cars. You know, I don't know if I would ever want to get one because I don't know if I'd ever daily drive it, you know, and it's a collector car. You just want to put it in the garage and not touch it. And, you know, it'd be hard for me to justify driving it. Even the Hellcat now, you know, the price point where it's at, it's almost at the point where I'm like, do I drive it today? Or no, you know, it's going to get scratched, or, oh, you know, I'm going to drive in a bad area. I don't want to park it. That to me is like a big, that's why, like, you know, not that I can afford it, but if I could afford these super expensive cars, would I really enjoy them as much as like a $50,000 vehicle that I know that I can drive anywhere and not worry about somebody scratching it or getting hit or something. And so that, to me, there's this peak where at some point it just becomes too expensive for me to enjoy it. And I feel like at that point, Limitless, PDL, exactly. Haha, both are great. Thanks. It is difficult choice on your end, man. Because I ran into the same problem when I was upgrading from my Scat Pack to the Hellcat. I was talking to my fiance. I was talking to my family. I was like, is this a stupid idea? Because the Scat Pack, I love it so much. Such a great car. I mean, you know, I ended up getting the Hellcat, but I totally get what position you're in right now because I was in that same position about 8 months ago. Let's see. Red Eye is a detuned Demon. Yep, exactly. Tim has a Red Eye pushing 836 at the wheel. Yep, that's correct. Did you drive the Demon? If yes, what was your experience? So I have not driven a Demon yet. I would love to have the opportunity. I would be very, very scared and hesitant to drive somebody else's Demon, though, like a friend's or anything like that, because I just too much responsibility for me. But if I got the opportunity to drive one at a track, if they had one to rent, which would be very hard to find because those car values just keep coming up, I doubt any racetrack company would have a Demon. But if they did, I would drive it. I actually do think that maybe Radford Racing School down in Arizona does have a Demon, or at least they have a track experience if you own a Demon. So they may have some that you could race, but the prices for those things are really expensive. So never driven one. It would be really cool to drive it, though. Trucking with Jay, any thoughts on the Ram 1500 Rebel GT? So I don't know if I'm aware of the GT Rebel. I know of the Ram 1500 Rebel. To be full disclosure, I am not huge in the Ram world. I mean, obviously I know the Ram TRX, I know the 1500, but I don't know the specifics of the trims. So I'll probably hold off telling you my thoughts on it. I do think that the TRX is a really cool one, but I don't know about what the GT offers that the Rebel doesn't have. My understanding is the Ram Rebel is a pretty off-road capable truck. So I'm wondering if the GT adds some more like luxury features, kind of like what the GT does on the Challengers and Chargers. But let me know. I don't want to give you a wrong answer there. So, but another announcement they made today. So shows how much I was paying attention after they said electric muscle car. I didn't even know they had another announcement today. So trucking with Jay, that banana better not still be on the scat. So I can't see if trucking with Jay has it, but hey, man, if you still have that yellow banana, you keep it. The only reason I took it off is because I was worried it was going to start scratching it. But upgraded exhaust and intake. So that's pretty cool. You know, I have to look into what else they announced. My understanding was I was thinking they were going to announce more than just the electric muscle car, but that's all I started coming across, and I assume that's all they released. But I'll have to check out what other stuff they released in today's video. I mean, about a year ago, I think is when they released the Durango Hellcat. I think that was about June, July of last year. I could be mistaken, but I was expecting something more than just electric. I was expecting something in the near term. So let's see, Limitless Vlogs. If you keep it, just remove it, PPF it, and put it back on. Yeah, that's what I probably should have done because I actually like the yellow splitter cover. But well, we are winding down here. I mean, we're down to 17 people. So thank you all who have stayed so far. Let me know if there's any outstanding questions. But other than that, we'll probably call it a night. I'll let you guys get back to bed because some of you guys are probably close to midnight right now. So Thank you all for joining. It's been a fun live stream. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. It's been fun talking about these cars. Trucking with Jay. Oh, just had it for a while to keep the wife from hitting the lip on the curbs. Yeah, I mean, I am, I'm subject to that as well. I mean, that's why I kept it on too, is because here in Utah, you have so many, the way the driveways are built for snow and water to run off, they have really big grooves, and, pulling into any spot, you're going to scrape that splitter. And I hate seeing scrapes on that thing. And so I ended up going for a protector that I made a video on. It's through ZL1 add-ons. It actually screws in and bolts into the bottom of your front splitter, and it adds like a little layer of plastic and protective cover. So when you're pulling into spots, and I've already had some instances where it's scraped, my splitter is still protected and that plastic gets a little scuffed up, but my splitter is fine. It's just the plastic modification. So if you guys are interested in what modification that is, I made that video a couple months ago. You guys can check out what I did there. But if you own a Challenger, I highly recommend you buy. They have one for the wide body and the narrow body. It's a really good modification. It's not cheap for a couple pieces of plastic. It's really not cheap, but I think it's worth it. Let's see. Decepticon Rabbit Scrape Town. It 100% is. And, it's almost worse on the Chargers, like your Charger, because that's body painted. That splitter is painted the same color. And so any scrapes are way more noticeable than on the black color of the Challenger. So, and Limitless Vlogs, why does the Charger wide body have pink, not yellow? The rumor I heard is the reason they did pink is because they were annoyed people were leaving on the yellow, and they thought, well, nobody's going to leave on the pink color because pink is, I guess, weirder looking than yellow is on the cars. Well, lo and behold, people still keep them on. So I don't know why people, why they changed it to purple or pink, I should say. But that's my what I heard rumor wise is why they did it. Nikita Oganov, thanks for awesome conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining and staying with the whole chat. So Trekking with Jay, that was Dodge's idea of encouraging people to remove it. Yeah, so exactly. There you go. AJW, what is better, Demon or Hellcat? So it depends on what you want. If you're talking performance-wise, Demon is the 0 to 60 king. It's the quarter mile king. It's the one that, is going to win records. Daily drivability, you're probably not going to want to daily drive it. Most of them, the one I saw or the two I've seen have, I think, rear seats and passenger seats. But I think people who bought them for the track didn't opt for passenger seats. So, it's just a one-person car. Some of the stuff, the interior insulation has been removed. It's weight reduction. So, and also from a value standpoint, you don't want to daily drive it. So I would personally pick the Hellcat just because of that. But the Demon definitely holds value much better. It's a much more iconic car, probably. It's going to go down in history as just this amazing car. But daily drivability, I probably wouldn't drive one. So Limitless Vlogs, pink looks better, though. See, so, I mean, you're one of the people that would probably keep it on and take off the yellow one. So I have the aluminum splitter on there covering some of the scrapes from where it was new. Yeah, I mean, you got to do something. I mean, I wish they figured, I like, one of the things I like about the C8 Corvette is as an option, obviously, you can have it where it will lower and lift up the front end of the car depending on location. And that would be nice to have on some of these cars because, one of the worst things you can do is scrape the front end of these cars because you just feel like crap. You feel like you made a mistake. And even sometimes it's unavoidable. I wish they had that kind of an option, especially on these really high MSRP vehicles. And it's $1 option, so it's cheap. So yeah, exactly. So if you have the Demon, it was only $1 for you to get the passenger seat removed, or I should say only get the passenger seat added. And so some people did that, but others didn't. And you can still get the passenger seat delete and the rear seat delete on, I believe, all the way down to the Scat Pack as an option. I just don't think very many people do that on those cars because they buy them for more practical purposes, not just drag strip racing. So. Well, I'm going to call it a night. I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream as much as I did. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video. And I appreciate you guys all joining in. It's been a fun chat. And thank you up to this point. You guys have supported the channel and me. We're over 11,200 some odd subscribers. So that's been a crazy fun journey. And I hope to continue growing it. Hoping the Bronco also kicks off a little bit of a new audience as well. Yeah, excited for where it's headed. So, Eng Ali Backer, hopefully I pronounced that correct, man. Does the engine sound similar? Does the engine sound simulator same as the gasoline one? I'm not sure what you're referencing. Maybe if it's the electric version of the car, let me know what simulator you're asking about. And if it's electric, I'm not sure what the sound is going to be like. I really, if there even is going to be a sound, they may make it quiet, and it'll be interesting where they go. Gone in 60, I'm ready to drive a library down the road. LOL not. What's going on, man? Thank you for joining. I'm excited for your Camaro pursuits. So hopefully that process is, I haven't had a chance to watch your most recent videos, but hopefully that process is going down well. It sounds like you might be getting a new Camaro 2SS or at least the big V8 here in the near future. So congrats, man. You have the Bullet Mustang right now, but it sounds like you're not loving it too much. So Decepticon Ravage, nice chat. Hope to see you soon at some of these events coming up. Yeah, same back at you. Hopefully maybe this Saturday I'll try to do my best. It all depends on how the next day or two goes. So I'll let you know if I make it. But quick little hour and a half live. Yeah, for sure. Definitely longer than I expected, but very, very welcome. I'm excited for it. So Gone in 60, thanks, brother. And thank you for joining, man. You're always joining these live streams. So thank you all so much for joining. And with that, like always, stay schwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day, boys and girls. Thanks so much.